All right, let's get started. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us for today's virtual college fair hosted by Pineview UnidosNow. We want to thank you, everyone, for joining us, including our college reps. Who were very gracious enough to join us for today. And we would like to thank the Berenzik Foundation for their continued support for our high school clubs of UnidosNow. And we want to especially thank the college students, the FOA scholars who will be presenting later on today. And we will get started in one moment. First, we will have presenting for us Tyler Swart out from the University of Southern California. We want to thank him for joining us today.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, Nicholas. Good morning, everyone. I do apologize for the lighting in my house. I know it's really dark. The sun just came out in California, so the lighting in my room is very, very odd. I do apologize if you're not able to see me very well, but hopefully I am not the star of my presentation. It's actually going to be my actual PowerPoint. So let me go ahead and get that started. I do also want to thank everyone for their time. Waking up pretty early in the morning on a Saturday can be pretty difficult for us, especially for us that are in Zoom school. So I do want to thank you for that as well. So my name is Tyler Slodow. As Nicholas mentioned earlier, I work for the University of Southern California. I'm an assistant director for the Office of Undergraduate Admission. I also want to apologize in advance if you hear my family in the background. Most of us are either working from home or attending school, so it's been a pretty hectic family. But considering most of them are asleep right now at 7 a.m., hopefully there's not going to be any distractions. I also do want to apologize, in advance, not having this opportunity to do this session in person. Most of the time, I'm able to go out to Florida and meet everyone individually. Fortunately, due to the pandemic, a lot of that has been hindered. So I do apologize. But I also want to, take a moment to address everyone, their commitment to be able to do this online. It's been a very stressful, I would say, past year with a lot of the different historical events that we are going through. This is not something that happens every like 5 or 10 years. This is something that happens every 100 years. So I do want to acknowledge everyone's commitment and initiative and resilience through this time. To begin, the session's not recorded. I have to say this at every presentation, and you'll only be able to view the current slides that I have showing up on the screen. This presentation will introduce the university for students who only know University of Southern California by name. We also get confused with University of South Carolina a lot, especially from students from Florida, so I do want to clear the air. We are from California, not South Carolina. And we'll also be addressing some services, financial aid, and hopefully I have time for a quick Q&A. It really depends on where we are in the presentation, but I'll be more than happy to address any questions you may have. If there are any questions that you do have, go ahead, drop it in the chat function. I'll try to keep it open, but if let's see, oh, my chat's not showing up. So you know what? I'll try to look at the chat at the end and hopefully address your questions then. But if there's anything super pressing, I don't mind if you interrupt me. So go ahead, you can unmute yourself and just be like, hey, Tyler, can you stop? There's this one question I really want to ask. That's completely fine. But let me just introduce the university. So at a glance, University of Southern California is a large private research university founded in 1880. We are an urban campus in the heart of Los Angeles. So we're about 3 miles away from downtown LA. We actually get confused a lot with the University of California system. So students who know UCLA or UC Berkeley, or we're not affiliated with that institution, or there are a public campus. We are private, so that means that we also charge the same tuition rate for our in-state, out-of-state, and our international students. I do want to point out our 8-to-1 student to faculty ratio and our average class size being 26, mostly because you will see that our undergraduate population is a little bit above 20,000. So that means that even though we have so many students, we're able to provide an education similar to a smaller liberal arts college or give you that small school feeling in the context of a large university. But that's just an average class size as well. That means that you might have some classes a little bit smaller than that, so they can have around 10 or 15 students. Sometimes you might have larger classes. Our largest one's an introduction to biology that has around 300. But don't worry about any large class size numbers. University policy requires that any class larger than 50 host something called section. It's just a discussion that's led by a teaching assistant, and these sections just have around 20 to 30 students. The whole point of a discussion is just to review the information of that week's material. Everyone, it's a place for you to ask questions, have a firm understanding of what's going on in that class at that time. Now, but these are the 6 points that make up the undergraduate experience. So we offer, a flexible approach to interdisciplinary studies. Our students are able to double major, double minor, whatever field or subject that they want to. We encourage all our students to engage in any type of research that interests them, whether they know a lot about the subject or know nothing about it. USC has one of the largest international student populations of any domestic US college or university. We represent over 150 countries, meaning that our students are here from a diverse range of perspectives and engage with people from different backgrounds. We're 3 miles away from downtown Los Angeles. So that gives us a lot of opportunities for our students to engage in professional development, internships, or even just in their off time have a lot of different entertainment options. And with a large student population, we have a bustling campus life that encourages our students to develop leadership skills, artistic talent, athletic ability, and more. And lastly, an alumni network that fosters and supports your personal or professional excellence, no matter what you do or wherever you go. But let me break down just each point a little bit more. So, for the flexibility for interdisciplinary studies, we're really proud to uphold what we consider Renaissance ideals, meaning that our students are interested in multiple subjects. And we encourage our students to take advantage of these curiosities. We have over 150 majors and 200 minors for our students to choose from, and it can be whatever they like. Uh, you can double major, double minor. Even if you don't double major, you can just take classes outside of your major. So for example, if you are a major in biology, but you want to take a class in our School of Cinematic Arts, you're more than welcome to do so. So that one class in the School of Cinematic Arts is going to have 30 seats. 20 of those seats are going to be reserved for students who are in the major, and then 10 of those seats are elected spaces, which means anyone can sign up for them. In terms of research, we really do emphasize that aspect of our institution and education. So we encourage our students to be engaged in any research that interests them. There's this rumor where students assume that research just means lab coats and something medically related or science related, but it can really take all different shapes and sizes. So for example, you could be helping a professor, like a linguistics professor, do research about, Nordic languages. You could also be helping a journalism professor research about you know, the rise of TikTok, for example. Or you can also do those more accepted research opportunities in like astronomy, chemistry, biology, and so forth. And even if you don't find an opportunity you like, you're more than welcome to conduct your own research. Uh, and USC can give you the financial means to do so. So as long as you present your reasons why you want to do it to the faculty, they can actually give you funding to pursue that. For the global perspectives, as mentioned earlier, we have one of the largest international student populations of any domestic US college or university. So having a variety of political, cultural, religious perspectives does enrich the classroom in any residence hall. Altogether, in terms of study abroad, we offer them in 50 cities, 30 countries, and spanning over 6 continents. Additionally, we have a program called a Maymester, which is the USC class that you're going to take in the spring semester and then spend 4 weeks abroad or somewhere off campus. So, for example, last year there was one class last year before the pandemic hit, I apologize. There was one class in the archaeology department where they took it in the spring, and then they spent 4 weeks in Rome, Italy to work at excavation sites. So there's a lot of cool opportunities with that program as well. And it means that if you're part of the USC community, you have these different opportunities to really open your eyes to the world and open your eyes to the community. In terms of the Urban Learning LA, again, 3 miles away from downtown. Additionally, we're 10 miles away from Hollywood and 10 miles away from Santa Monica. I know for some of you that might just sound like neighborhoods, but they're all pretty integral parts of the LA community in terms of professional development, like sports or entertainment. But LA also has a lot of different it has a variety of things that if for whatever student is interested in, they can most likely find it here. So, for example, if you're interested in the outdoors, we're about half an hour away from the beach, but we're actually an hour-ish away from skiing. A lot of people don't associate LA to the mountains and skiing, but we actually do have that. We have fantastic art and modern museums such as the Los Angeles County Museum of Modern Art and the Getty. And LA is an entertainment capital, so really have good access to music venues, professional sports, Universal Studios and Disneyland, for example. So there's not You'll never run out of things to do in the city. We also have a ticket office on our campus that gives you a lot of good discounts to a lot of these venues. So, for example, some of our students were able to go to like Disneyland for just like $10. So, there's a lot of good things to do out there. Hopefully, you can take advantage of that with our ticket office. But on another note, we have a lot of professional development opportunities. So, as the second largest metropolitan area in the US, thousands of companies do want to make a presence here, whether that's business, medicine, entertainment, public service, and more. Uh, Also, I just want to say college students, they're afraid to, try to find internship or try to go with their interview. I like to say that they don't have to be. We have a super supportive career center who can help find these opportunities for you. We have counselors that can look at your resume. They can help you with mock interviews. They can also find that internship that you might not be able to on like a quick Google search. So they're really talented, they're really powerful, and they can really help you succeed after college. Now, in terms of the campus life, there are a lot of ways to be involved in the social fabric of USC. One of the most popular options are club. So we have over 1,000 registered student organizations. So it's really easy to find people with similar interests. They can range from like a fun club, like a Rubik's Cube club, or they can be serious, like a pre-law or a pre-medical club, or they can be really niche. Like the most surprising club that I found was called the Lizard Club, which isn't about reptiles at all. It's a Will Ferrell fan club. So it's just a place for you to talk about or discuss, Will Ferrell movies or events. We also have an involvement fair, which happens every semester. So it's just an opportunity for students to find out what clubs are available for that semester. It's really easy to just throw yourself out there, and you also might surprise yourself with what clubs you will find. For example, the Lizard Club. Additionally, 25% of our students are involved in Greek life. So these are fraternities, sororities, and co-ed professional development ones. There's also intramural sports, which are opportunities for students to compete against other USC students, whether that's basketball or soccer or other. And regarding residential life, we do have on-campus housing, and we do guarantee it for the first 2 years of college. So that's freshmen and sophomores. There's a meal plan that gets assigned. It is swipe based, which means that you can enter any cafeteria or dining hall, you swipe in, and then after that, it's all you can eat. For our juniors and seniors who do want housing, they're placed in a lottery system for the most part. We are able to offer them housing, but we also see this huge trend where students just get a couple of their friends together, find an off campus apartment somewhere in the city, and live that way. And when we say off campus, we mean like a block or a couple blocks away from the physical campus, nothing super far, like a half-hour commute. Everything is relatively walking distance, and it's really easy to find housing in that way. But lastly, the supportive alumni network. This is one of my favorite talking points because I mean, it might sound a little cheesy, but I'm also a little cheesy, so I really like talking about it. We have one of the strongest alumni networks in the country with around 400,000 alumni, 400,000 alumni throughout the entire world. We have around 50 alumni clubs domestically and 19 internationally. It's a community of shared values such as entrepreneurial spirit, innovation, leadership. People are really proud to be part of the Trojan family. There's a built-in support system for Trojans who want to help other Trojans, and they're not just willing to help you, they want to help you, whether that's in a professional or academic setting. And many of our student ambassadors can even tell you about this. So, for example, even one of my closest friend, uh, she applied to SpaceX, which is that space company with Tesla. She went into the interview, found out that the hiring manager was USC alumni. They connected about that. They had a really good interview. And basically, in the next day, she got offered the job. So it really goes to show that there's a lot of Trojans out there who really want to help other Trojans and make sure that they succeed in their respective field. If there's two words that I can leave the Trojan family by, it's that it's both lifelong and worldwide. But that's what encapsulates the entire undergraduate experience at USC. But let me go ahead and talk about a little bit of the multicultural centers. So we have four, and first one is the CBCSA, or for the Center for Black Cultural and Student Affairs, La Casa, Asian Pacific American Student Services, and the LGBTQ plus Student Center. Primarily, each of these centers welcome all USC students, but they do provide extra support for people who identify under specific demographics. And let me explain what each of them do. So, for example, CBCSA exists to create an Afrocentric holistic learning environment for academic, social, and professional development, and civic engagement for all members of the USC community. So from its inception, the primary goal of the department has been the retention of Black students as they matriculate through the Trojan experience towards graduation, while maintaining a holistic environment that students are able to develop academically, culturally, professionally, and socially. They also continue to engage and develop the community of Black students, faculty, and staff within USC through events and gatherings while working with the administration to promote their space on campus. So some of the events that they host are Black graduation, various programs such as the cultural, social, professional, and education seminars. La Casa works with all USC Latinx students. They provide academic, personal, and cultural support as well as helping students develop their leadership skills. The center strives to educate campus about the Latinx issues and the ethnic diversity represented within the community. So, for example, Central South America, Cuba, Dominican Republic, Mexico, and Puerto Rico, by offering programs and services that focus on this type of intersectionality. La Casa has a long history of helping the university strive through excellence. It was actually established in 1972 as a Latinx Chicanic Center for Advocacy and Student Affairs, and that's where it's got its acronym CASA. It provides empowerment through cultural identity, leadership, and social consciousness development, as well as community building for undergraduate and graduate students at USC. Now, APAS, or Asian Pacific American Student Services, offers an array of programming designed to educate, engage, and empower students. It has a twofold mission. The first one is to facilitate Asian Pacific American participation dialogue and community building, while at the same time to serve as a source of cross-cultural and educational programming for the entire campus. They strive to create unique learning opportunities that include mentorship, leadership, development, advocacy, and community involvement. We understand the distinctive needs among the different ethnicities within our Asian Pacific American community and the success needed to derive their strength from their diversity. They strive at a pan-Asian Pacific American that is rooted in the civil rights movement and continues to do so in the transnational sphere. I'm sorry, I'm getting dry mouth, so I'm going to need a little bit more water. Ugh. I'm so sorry. This happens every time I do a presentation. Like my mouth is dry. I just need to like chug water. Anyways, the last one's the LGBTQ plus Student Center. It's a cultural center within the student equity and inclusions programs that provide supports, education, advocacy, and the connection to the community for undergraduate and graduate students at USC. The center welcomes students from across the gender and sexual identity spectrum and is designated to provide support and programming for all intersectionality of identities within the university's diverse community. So some of the core functions of the center is to provide a well-resourced, safer, and welcoming physical space for gender and sexually diverse students. It creates a universal awareness of the existence of the LGBTQ plus community for all USC students and provides intersexual, culturally sensitive training and professional development and the supervision of student staff and interns with an emphasis on gender sexuality spectrum as well as intersectional race and racial justice. For some reason, I'm losing my voice, so I do apologize for that as well. But I also want to quickly go over the admitted student profile. So these are, I know it looks like some different numbers out there, but there's a couple things I do want to point out. So like I said, there's around 20,000 students on campus, and so at least 3,400 are going to be first-year students. We actually have one of the most racially diverse private campuses in the United States. So by looking at the racial background, you can see that no ethnic group has a majority on campus. We actually have one of the highest percentages of first-generation students of any private university in the United States. We also have one of the largest Latinx populations for a private university in the United States as well. I know that the middle 50% GPA and the middle 50% SAT score might look a little bit intimidating, but we do recalculate them in our own admissions process. So that's what our recalculation is. So some of you might be a little bit lower than that. Some of you might be a little bit higher than that. And because we are actually test optional this year, we're no longer going to consider that. So what you see about the middle 50% SAT score is a reflection of previous cycles. So we're not even going to consider that as a factor anymore. But I know that when you look at these, it can be a little bit intimidating, especially for a selective institution. But we're more than just numbers. So let me talk about the philosophy just briefly. So this is the mission philosophy we have here, and I do want to emphasize that the University of Southern California is a holistic review school, which means that we review every app in its entirety. It is read multiple times by at least one person in our office, and it can be read by multiple people. A computer does not make a decision, any of these decisions for us. This is a very, very human process. So there's no GPA cutoffs. There was no test cutoffs. But in the same boat, there is no guaranteed admission. So our process is very complex and very nuanced. Each application that does get sent to us is assigned to a territory manager. In this case, that's going to be me. So I read for the territory of Northern Florida. There are a few reasons why we do this, but the biggest reason is that we want to make sure that we do our work in the most equitable way possible. Territory managers know the schools within their assigned regions, the type of classes that are offered, and what students can do outside the classroom. So, I had a little bit of fun when I read where all of you were attending school. So, like Pineview School, I know pretty well. And I think it was like Riverview. I saw Sarasota in there. Those are all schools I'm pretty familiar with. So I know the types of curriculums that are offered, the types of clubs that are going on in there. I also have pretty good relationships. So I know a couple of their counselors by name. So we do know the type of environment that you're learning in. We do take that into consideration. We also take into consideration what you are doing to impact that community. So our role as territory managers, they allow us to get to know the students, the schools, and the communities of our applicants so that we can make decisions based on the opportunities available to them. Context is very important in our process. I'll say that again because I want to make sure that everyone understands this when they hear that a school's holistic review. Context is very important in their process. Now for my final slide, I want to talk a little bit of financial aid. And I'm going to be honest in saying that private universities are expensive. So for us, it's a little bit more than $70,000 to attend USC. I am not going to argue how large that number is, but I also want to acknowledge that we have a ton of financing options. So most of our students don't pay that full sticker price. 2/3 of our students are receiving some form of financial assistance, and we also meet 100% of the students' demonstrated financial need. And for those who don't understand that term, it means that we will evaluate how much each family should contribute to the tuition based on their personal finances, and the university will help cover the rest of the difference. So they'll pay the rest of the difference. Now, we are a need blind institution, which means that if we don't look at your finances as a factor to your application, we want to make sure that we do our work in the most equitable way possible. This past spring, the president of the university, Carol Folt, announced the affordability initiative. And for those who don't know, it means that for any family that is making less than $80,000 per year, will be able to attend USC tuition free. But in order to be considered and receive aid, you just need to complete the FAFSA and the CSS profile by the respective deadline. And the net price calculator is a tool that every college uses and required by law to have, which estimates your cost of attendance. So just note that this is a rough estimation. It just gives you an idea of how much it would cost if you were to attend USC. So if you are interested in our institution and want to know what your financial aid might look like, that is a great tool to use. But if there's any detail or specific questions you have about our process, the website below will give you a lot of those details. But that's the end of my presentation. I know 25 minutes isn't a lot of time, but I'm really happy that I had this time on this weekend to be able to talk to all of you. That's my email down there. So in case there's any other questions that you have after this, I'm more than happy to connect with you. Please go ahead, drop any of the questions you have, but I'm gonna go ahead and try to open the chat function now to see if there's any other questions I can answer. So Daniel asks, does this apply to out-of-state students as well? Are you referring to the NIP Affordability Initiative? Okay, yeah. So the Affordability Initiative applies to any student that is applying from the United States. So international students don't qualify for it, but if you are a United States citizen, you are qualified for the Affordability Initiative. You do not have to be from California. I know that our name can be a little bit confusing as the University of Southern California, but there's more than half of our students come from out of state. So there's this misconception again with it being a California school. We accept more in-state students, but that's not true. We accept students from any and all backgrounds. Is there any other questions I can hopefully quickly answer? I know I'm going a little bit over my time. You can go ahead and unmute yourself or go ahead and drop it in the chat. Nicholas asked, our class is going to be online. So for the spring semester, they are virtual because we do have to adhere to the Los Angeles County of Departments of Health and Safety of mirroring social distancing. But the way that we are seeing it with the vaccine distribution rolling out, with the cases going down in California, we are intending to be fully in person in the fall. What majors are the most popular? I can tell you the most popular major right now is psychology. The most interested majors are in the School of Cinematic Arts. So production is one of our most popular or competitive majors to apply. But in terms of numbers of students who are majoring, psychology, political science, and I think the last one is sociology. And then Nicholas also asked what, or maybe the different Nicholas, sorry. What is the neighborhood like off campus? So USC is designated in the University Park neighborhood. It is in an urban setting, so there's a lot of different communities that are nearby, such as Pico Union. Pico Union is known to have the largest Salvadorian population outside of El Salvador. And speaking of that, uh, LA also gets this, I would say, reputation for having traffic or cars. And I do want to acknowledge that, saying that's true. LA do has a large car culture, but it doesn't mean that you need a car to get around. We are connected by two metro stops. So one's called the Red Line, the other is the Expo Line. The Red Line can connect you to Hollywood, Los Angeles, and even South LA. The Expo Line can get you to Santa Monica. And all these tickets are about $1.75, but if you're a student, it's going to be around $1. So it's really easy to be connected. You don't need a car to get around in Los Angeles. And it's really easy to get by without it. But if you do want to bring a car, you're more than welcome to. You just have to pay a parking permit fee. And those are relatively cheap, but you don't really need a car to get around USC. What And then Daryl asks, is music school a separate application? So it's not a separate application, but it is an additional application. So we go through the Common App. And for talent-based majors such as the School of Cinematic Arts, School of Music, and the School of Architecture, they have an additional application called Slide Room. For music school specifically, it's just a couple additional essays and an audition piece. So you might have to play the instrument that you're applying for. And if you are selected, you're going to be able to move forward in the process, maybe to do a live audition. And if you're applying for the school academic year of 2022 and 2023, you're most likely going to have it in person. So this might either require you to go to campus. If you're not able to go to campus, they're more than happy to do one online for you as well. Do they have sports? Yeah, we have 3 different types of sports. So we have Division 1, which means that they're not professional, but they are like competitive. So we have football and basketball and volleyball that are played, and they travel around the country for. It's really popular. USC does have a pretty big culture around its football team. There's also club, which means that you compete against other schools, but not at a competitive level. And then there's intramural, which means that you just play with other USC students in a fun setting or even a little bit of a competitive setting. So whatever you are involved in, or if you want to, for example, if you're part of the basketball team, you want to compete, you can do so either in intramural or club. Technically, you kind of have to be recruited for Division 1. It's possible if you are really invested in that sport. So I have another question. So by taking the SAT or ACT test would help prior registering to the college, or there's no need for that? There's no need. We've actually been extending our test policy for the next test optional policy for the next 2 years. So if taking a 4 to 5 hour test in one sitting is not your best reflection of your academics, don't take it. You absolutely don't have to. Some people do thrive in that type of environment and are really proud of their scores. And you're more than welcome to send those in, but if you don't think you'll do well, you don't have to. we're really confident in our jobs as territory managers to know what a good student is, especially where you attend. So if you attend Pine View or Sarasota, we know those schools, we know those curriculums, and we know what you're capable of in that type of environment. I can take probably one more question before Nicholas gets mad at me. So is there any other lasting questions I can take care of? All right. I think that concludes the end of my presentation. Again, thank you so much for spending your Saturday mornings with me to learn more about USC and also at this college fair. You know, not a lot of institutions and clubs do this, so I do want to also spend a special shout out to Nicholas and Brianna who put all this together. So it's really great that you're able to put this together for your community, and I really appreciate that. And I know that the students, parents, and teachers are really appreciative of you as well.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tyler.
Of course. All right. You guys have a good rest of your weekend, though, and enjoy the rest of the college fair.
Thank you, you too. Um, so before we get on to the next college, I was just going to share my screen. So for anyone who's interested in the Spanish interpretation could do so now. And let me see if I can. Okay, cool. Okay, I can't share my screen. It's not letting me, but for Spanish interpretation, if you go to, okay, I'll say it in Spanish. Para interpretación en español, haga clic en más en la esquina inferior y superior derecha. Luego, haga clic en interpretación de idiomas, luego en español y luego en silenciar audio original. So, para
Okay.
ustedes que quieren o querrán interpretación en español, está ahí por ustedes. Y gracias, Nick. Thank you, Nick, for, yeah. So there you go. It's click more and then language interpretation, Spanish, and then mute original audio. Thank you. And then so we will have some representatives from the University of Florida coming right up. We'll have Randy Brown and Jules Green, if I'm saying that right. I hope so. Who will speak to us today about UF.
Good morning, everyone. How are y'all doing? Thumbs up, wave. Okay, hola. Okay. So my name is Randy Brown, and I happen to work in the Office of Admissions here at the University of Florida. I also have one of my colleagues from me in engineering, and I'll give her an opportunity to introduce herself.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. My name is Julie Breen, and I'm with the University of Florida Innovation Station, Sarasota County. Thank you, Randy.
No problem. So I'm thrilled to have an opportunity with you just to showcase the University of Florida and share with you more about the program offerings here at the University of Florida. So one of the things is that you may not know is that University of Florida is actually one of the oldest universities here in the state. It is the land grant institution in the state of Florida. We actually sometimes are often referred to ourselves as a land, sea, space grant institution. And we're actually one of the top 5 largest universities in the nation with over 2,000 acres of land in Gainesville, Florida. And I'll talk to you a little bit more about Gainesville, Florida here in a few. We actually have over 55,000 students, and that's about 38,000 undergraduate students and about 17,000 graduate students. Now, I haven't mentioned, but that number 6 ranking is something that we are beyond thrilled and excited about. We've worked very diligent to kind of continue to climb in the rankings, and we're not done yet, actually. Our goal is to be within the top 5, okay? So I do want to talk to you, though, about some of the things that contribute to that number 6 ranking. So the first thing is 88%. So I'm sure you're wondering, 88% what, okay? 88% of our students graduate in 6 years, okay? So that's very exciting because you come to college to get a degree, what University of Florida is able to do is help students, support them in getting that degree, okay? Now, 97%, you're like, okay, Randy, what's up with this quiz? 97% of our students return from their first year to their second year, okay? So it's difficult to graduate if you're not coming back. And so we have such a successful rate with regards to supporting students academically, transitioning them to graduation. We also have a number of initiatives that help support and encourage students with their graduation. So one of which is You Matter, We Care. And that's an initiative that we want to make sure that we understand what students are going through, how they're navigating those situations so that they can be successful. But those are things that contribute to an 88% graduation rate and a 97% return rate that also tie into that number 6 ranking, okay? We also have a phenomenal center in our Hispanic, Institute of Hispanic and Latino Cultures, okay? La Casita. And that actually, we just remodeled that facility and building on campus, which is a space to support students. And this is another great contribution to students being successful here at the University of Florida. Now, another thing is students feeling like they're at home, okay? That matters. And so in order to help students feel at home, we have, and opportunities to connect, we have over 1,000 student clubs and organizations. In fact, okay, if in the event that we don't have a club and organization that you are interested in one, guess what you can do? You can create your own club and organization, and then you can go to student government and get money. That's right, money for your club and organization. These are the things that contribute to the University of Florida and our number 6 ranking. And again, we've gotten to number 6. We're in the top 10, but we're not done yet. We're going to keep on going to that top 5. Now I'm going to go ahead and continue in the presentation, talk to you a little bit about the Gainesville community. So Gainesville is a small, cozy town kind of feel, okay, with infinite big time opportunities, okay? So with so many students, our actual median age for a resident in Gainesville is the age of 26. So it really is a college town, okay? Now, that also comes with a lot of vibrancy, opportunity, and energy that we really leverage and thrive on. We also have a lot of nature-esque kind of things and opportunities. And actually, some of my favorite things on campus is like when I just need to kind of clear my head, I'll take a walk, and literally it's like you transform into like these nature-esque type of things on campus. And that helps kind of soothe my energy for a second so I can get back and really focus on what I'm doing. And we also have access, if you notice, to so many cities nearby, if students also want kind of some bigger city kind of feels and opportunities. I'm going to step you through kind of some deadlines and priority dates for you to kind of understand. So one, our priority application is November the 1st. Now, that's going to be consistent for us. And in the event that we change or shift any of those, we let students know. One of the things that we encourage students to do is to register with our tour so that we're tracking you as a prospective student. And so if you go to our contact page, at University of Florida admissions page, you'll see how you can register for a virtual visit. Similar presentation, but what you'll definitely do is we'll be tracking you as a prospective student. So as these dates are approaching, we're actually informing you and keeping you up to date, and also just offering any other opportunities to engage with the University of Florida if you're interested. Now that November the 1st deadline is very critical because we actually received over 50,000 applications last year. And so if you don't make that deadline, then we consider your space available. And the truth is space rarely becomes available. So please make sure if you're interested in the University of Florida that you make that November the 1st deadline. Our SAR deadline is the date that we actually collect. This is the SAR, is the student self-reported academic record. This is actually how we know what your grades are in high school. Okay, so and our SAR deadline is December the 1st. That can be unique for some other schools. Okay, and so, but nonetheless, though, it's the mechanism that the University of Florida uses to track your academic progression and grades and classes that you took in high school. But that deadline is December the 1st, very critical that you meet that deadline. The last deadline that we have is the ACT SAT test score deadline. Now, a lot of other schools are able to go test optional. However, in the state of Florida, none of the public universities are able to go state optional because it's an actual state requirement for the test score. So what we encourage students to do is go ahead and try to apply and meet that November the 1st deadline. If you're struggling getting a test score, make sure that you meet the SAR deadline. And if you're able to get a test score by the December the 1st deadline, then go ahead and do that. Now, I'll talk a little bit more though about kind of how we actually make decisions here at the University of Florida. So first you have an academic review part. Then we have a holistic report. Now, both of these components help us get an understanding of our prospects, okay? So if you'll notice, we're looking at your GPA, your strength of schedule, actually for your senior year, and your ACT, SAT test scores. You'll notice the middle 50% for our group last year. We are just actually released decisions yesterday. So that middle 50% actually is going to need to be updated and changed for this new graduate or this new admitted class here soon, okay? Now, what we're looking at with your GPA is we're actually going to calculate your GPA for your 9th, 10th, and 11th grade year. If you notice, I didn't say your senior year because your senior year classes are going to be in progress, and we're actually going to be tracking your strength of schedule. What classes are you taking? Are you challenging yourself? Are you still headed on the same trajectory for your senior year? We're calculating that GPA based off of your core academic classes. That's English, math, social science, natural science, and foreign language. You need 16 credits from all of those core classes in order to be admissible to any state school here in the state of Florida. We actually calculate your GPA on a 4.0 scale. However, we do give a weight for a few classes, and I'll step you through those. So one, we give half of a point for honors, pre-IB, pre-AP, and pre-ACE. So that means that if you are in one of those classes, and let's say you get an A, then what you would receive for us in the recalculated or weighted GPA would be a 4.5 versus a 4, okay? Now, for dual enrollment classes, only in the core academic classes, again, that's English, math, social science, and natural science and foreign language, then you receive an additional 1 point. Now, for all AP, IB, and ACE courses, you'll receive a 1 point for those classes, okay? So if you make an A in one of those courses, then you'll receive a 5.0 in our weighted GPA scale, okay? Now, we cannot evaluate senior grades, as I mentioned, and so we encourage students need to list those as in progress, but we expect that you're challenging yourself. And there's no magical number of AP, IB, ACE courses or dual enrollment courses. But as I mentioned, for the weighted kind of component, you got to kind of consider what's in the best interest for yourself at that point. For the SAT, ACT test score, we do actually super score those. So that means that if you share those test scores with us, then we take the best score for each of your subject matters, and we map those and we pull those together to give you a combined best score for those test scores. Then the writing portion is not required, and the SA2 exam is not needed from traditional high school applicants. Now, the next component is the holistic review. And the holistic review is comprised of 2 components, a resume and an essay. So your resume is kind of basically, it's similar to your standard kind of resume, except we're pulling out the material on the resume. So we're a little more interested in the information, less the actual format of the resume itself. And so what information are we interested in? Don't worry, I'm about to tell you, okay? So the information that we're interested in are what clubs and organizations were you involved in, okay? What were service projects that you engaged and did? What was your community connection and outreach, okay? Did you do anything in a place of worship, okay? So we want to know everything that you were involved in and how you talk about that matters, okay? We're going to be reviewing these, this holistic review is anonymous, so we don't know your name, we don't know where you're from. Only thing we know is what you tell us, okay? So it's very critical that you showcase who you are and highlight yourself. I'm going to be transparent. There are going to be a lot of other students with your GPA, a lot of other students with your test score. There will be nobody else with your life, okay? And so I encourage you, this is your opportunity to distinguish yourself from, in UF's case, other 50,000 other applicants, okay? So we hope that students are very intentional about that. We also have an essay. The essay is less about a grammatical exercise because we're not really grading you for your grammar, but what we are trying to see is who you are. In fact, you'll notice we have tons of essay prompts. And the reason why we have so many essay prompts, and we even have an open-ended prompt. So the point is, it's less about what you choose, it's about what prompt or how do you showcase yourself. So be intentional about how you do that. We don't actually use letters of recommendation here at the University of Florida, so they're not evaluated, so there's no need to share them with us. We also do not conduct interviews. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some pathways to campus, and then we'll transition to engineering pathways, and then we'll have some time for some questions. So one of the pathways to campus is Innovation Academy, okay? Now, this is a unique opportunity for students to have a great deal of creativity or entrepreneurship or just different innovative ideas that they really want to kind of connect here. It actually is a spring-summer program, so you notice I didn't say fall, and the reason why is because the fall is reserved, it starts in the spring, but when the fall rolls back around, students have the opportunity to do internships, study abroad, research. So a large number of things during this program. You do have to express interest in one of the 30 majors. It is the only way that you can get a minor in innovation here on campus. Pretty cool, huh? So if you're interested in that, please review those majors and check that out. You can go to our website, Innovation Academy, type that in and search, and you'll be able to find it. Now, again, I'm not providing kind of the links and stuff, but I just strongly encourage you to go to University of Florida's website. It's just like Google, okay? You search for it and you just look through a couple of links and you'll be able to find everything that you need. Next, I want to talk to you about honors. Honors program does require, as well as Innovation Academy requires an essay. So there's an additional essay. Please, now on this prompt, you need to actually pay attention to the prompt and respond to the prompts, okay? Now with honors, they're actually, the prompts are actually reviewed, the essays are reviewed by current honors students, which is pretty cool. All admitted students have the opportunity to participate in the honors program. And it's not just about who has the highest GPA or test score. It honestly, there's a great deal of intersection, like we do with the holistic review for admissions, about how you respond to the essay prompt, and that really matters in this case. And then PACE, a pathway to campus enrollment. We have over 60 majors, and basically what this is a hybrid type of program where you'll take some classes initially online, and then you'll transition after 60 hours to physical in-person kind of classes. When you graduate, you'll graduate with a degree that says the University of Florida, okay? And so this is an amazing opportunity. Again, I mentioned 60-something degrees. You will need to take at least 16 hours at UF online, and you'll need to meet all the prerequisites before you transition. But it's a great opportunity for students that may want to continue to kind of stay local as well. And it's just another opportunity to connect students here with the University of Florida. So now we'll transition to Julie and talk a little bit more about some of the engineering opportunities.
Thank you, Randy. That was wonderful. Thank you so much. Again, my name is Julie Breen, and I'm the K-12 coordinator for the University of Florida Innovation Station, Sarasota County. So I'm here locally in the Sarasota Manatee area, and we are the first extension office for the College of Engineering at UF. So some of you may be familiar with the agricultural extensions through UF that are scattered about the state, and we are similar to that and the first version for the College of Engineering. We represent a number of different programs that feed the economic development of the area and a pipeline for students who are interested in engineering. But probably one of our most notable programs, which started several years back, is called Gator Engineering at State College of Florida. So Randy talked about the admissions process and all that UF has to offer. And what I wanted to touch on is those of you who are either interested in engineering and have identified that already, or who might be very strong in science and math and considering engineering as a pathway, you can, of course, and we hope you will, apply directly to the University of Florida. And if you're offered direct admission, that's wonderful. Randy mentioned the size of the institution. 55,000 students attend the University of Florida, and about 10,000 of them are in the College of Engineering. So sometimes, oftentimes space is limited. And the Gator Engineering at State College of Florida partnership offers an alternative. So for those of you that might apply to the University of Florida as seniors in high school, and for whatever reason not be offered direct admission, you might be offered this option, which allows you to take your critical tracking courses for engineering here locally at the State College of Florida campus. Engineering students spend you know, a good deal of time in the beginning of their academic journey, taking those courses such as chemistry, physics, calculus, and those are the critical tracking courses. They're pretty tough. Engineering's a, you know, rigorous academic major. And those are the classes that when you are up at UF tend to be very, very large because they're your freshman classes. So if you're doing this program, you'll be able to take those same classes locally at the State College of Florida in a much smaller class size. And then you still matriculate up to University of Florida after you complete those critical tracking courses, as long as you keep your GPA at a 2.75 or above in those critical courses. So it gives you a closer to home, less expensive, and smaller class size opportunity for this same major. Now there's 16 engineering majors at the University of Florida. We don't offer all 16 for this particular program. We currently offer 6, and I believe those are listed there at the top of the slide. So for those of you that might be interested in aerospace, computer engineering, computer science, digital arts and sciences, electrical engineering, or mechanical engineering, what you would do is, if you're indicating that on your application when you apply to the University of Florida, that would guarantee then that if you are not admitted directly, that your application would at least then get a second look for this option, but you would have to be selecting one of those 6 majors. The other thing that I like to mention is that because you're completing your critical tracking courses before you matriculate up, a lot of students will ask, well, how long does that take? Well, that varies depending on each individual student. Some of you are going to be coming into college already having some college credit because of AP or dual enrollment courses. So I have seen students that are taking this pathway be able to go up to the University of Florida in as little as a semester, while others might take a full 4 semesters. But it is not a standard 2+2 agreement. So it's not like a student who's going directly into State College of Florida and having to complete a full Associate of Arts degree before they can then apply as a transfer student. If you're offered this option, you're guaranteed admissions to University of Florida as long as you keep your GPA up above that 2.75. And then eventually you matriculate up and are able to graduate. So this is specific to the engineering program, but because we are local and we have really wonderful relationships with all the high schools throughout Sarasota and Manatee County, we actually cover a 7-county area from Polk all the way down to Lee. But myself as the K-12 coordinator, and then my colleague, Patricia Harris, who spends a lot of time recruiting for this program as well, we're both local. We're right in your backyard. We know a lot of the college and career counselors at the high school as well. We work directly with the engineering teachers at the high school. So if you have questions, we encourage you to reach out. I know this slide's a little light, so I'll also put into the chat my email address. And of course, Randy and I are happy to take any questions that you, your parents, or family members might have. Thank you. And if you do have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat or to unmute and ask those questions.
So there seems to be a question about what does digital arts include. I'll be honest with you, I'm not exactly sure exactly what digital arts includes, because so UF has such a comprehensive degree offering. We actually have 120 majors. What I can assure you of is whatever you're interested in, we have something for it. So there's like an engineering component of like the digital arts world. Then there's like a graphic design component. And so I'm not 100% sure the difference in the exact program that you're referencing. But what I can assure you of is that we got something for you in our 120 degree majors offering here at the University of Florida.
And if you are interested specifically in digital arts, I would highly encourage you, and I'll try to get this into the chat, to check out the website digitalworlds.ufl.edu. That's got some great information. We'll give you a nice overview. I also see a question from Daniel. I heard that at least one summer semester is required to graduate. Daniel, are you referring specifically to the engineering program? No, just something that he heard. Okay. Randy, you might be able to speak to that in general about a required summer semester in order to graduate.
So, actually, Daniel, I'm not 100% sure. So actually, I would actually have to look into that. Daniel, if you go to the admissions contact page, on the admissions site at the very bottom, it says contact us. You can shoot that question in there and we'll make sure that we get somebody to respond exactly to that.
Yeah, he may be referring, Randy, to like students who upon applying get offered like summer B, for example, start date. And that's, that's one, one pathway or option. Also, I can speak for engineering students, not specifically to summer, but the rigors of the engineering curriculum, it is not unusual for a student to take 5 years as opposed to 4 years to complete their undergraduate degree. So obviously taking some summer classes might, might help to shorten that length of time. And so students take advantage of that. And then there's also some bridge programs at University of Florida that allow incoming freshmen, and I know these are specific to engineering, allow incoming freshmen to take some summer courses prior to starting. So hopefully that answers some of your questions.
Okay, any other questions? Let me get back to the chat. Okay, so again, I shared with you the virtual tour location. So if you want to join for the virtual tour, it is, to be honest with you, a very similar presentation to this. But once you join, you could also cancel your registration. But what it will do is we will start to track you as a prospect moving forward, so that University of Florida, if we have any communications regarding kind of our process and timeline, we can update you. Also recognize we're now past 11 o'clock and there's another presentation for financial aid. So that's all the time that I will take from you. Julie, is there anything else that you want to say or share?
No, thank you so much, Randy, and thank you everyone for being here. And just let us know, stay in touch and let us know if you have any questions. We appreciate it. We appreciate your time. Gracias.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Julie Breen and Randy Brown, for your presentation.
Thank you.
Really appreciate you joining us this morning. And awesome. Next, we'll be having a Rice University presentation with Brandon Mack. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, and good morning, everyone. Once again, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm going to share my screen, and we'll get ourselves started. Can y'all see it? Okay, great. So once again, thank you so much for the opportunity to speak with you today. My name is Brandon Mack. I'm an Associate Director of Admission and very proud alum of Rice University, located in the beautiful city of Houston, Texas. So Rice was founded in 1912 by a man named William Marsh Rice. He was a merchant from Massachusetts who came to the Houston area in order to establish his fortune. And he decided that he wanted to create an institution of higher education that would be dedicated to the belief that anyone who would come to Rice would leave with no upper limit in terms of their potential. So over 100 years later, that is still the fundamental guiding principle of Rice University. All students have no upper limit, and they can utilize all that Rice has to offer to achieve their ultimate dreams, goals, and ambitions through unconventional wisdom. So Rice is what I like to call a comprehensive research university with a liberal arts attitude. What I mean by that is that at Rice, you get the very best of both worlds, the very best of a major research university combined with the very best elements of a small liberal arts college. We fundamentally believe in academic freedom and flexibility, so we want to give our students all the choices in terms of how they structure their education. One of the ways that we do that is in the fact that Rice does not have a traditional core curriculum, so there are no mandatory classes that every single student has to take in order to graduate. In the spirit of providing a well-rounded liberal arts education, what we require students to do is something called flexible distribution requirements. We ask you to take 3 classes in the School of Humanities, 3 in the School of Social Sciences, and then 3 of the Applied Sciences, which would be natural science or engineering. You then decide on what classes you want to take to satisfy those requirements. So it gives you the ability to cater to your interests as well as to cater to your skill set. So for example, me, I hate math. I hate math with a fire of 1,000 suns. So because of that, I was able to structure all my natural science and engineering classes to not have any math in it. So we really do give you that freedom and flexibility to learn what you want to learn in the way you want to learn it at Rice. So for all of you who love math, feel free to take as much math as you like. We offer 7 academic schools of study. Within those 7 different schools, you have access to over 50 majors and 23 different minors. When you apply to Rice, you indicate what school fits your interest the best, but once again, you're not locked into that decision. You actually get to indicate up to 3 academic majors from all of our offerings, and when you're admitted to Rice University, you're admitted into the entire university. So you have the freedom and flexibility to switch schools. You can double, triple major across different schools of study and take classes offered from any of our schools. Our schools include the George R. Brown School of Engineering, one of the top schools of engineering in the country, the Weiss School of Natural Sciences, one of the leading natural science schools in the world, the School of Humanities, the largest school at Rice University, offering the most undergraduate majors as well as the most faculty, the School of Social Sciences, which is our most popular school, is home to our 2 most popular majors, economics and psychology, and the #1 sports management program in the United States. The Shepherd School of Music, a conservatory-style school of music dedicated to anyone interested in becoming a classically trained musician. And then we have one of the top 5 schools of architecture in the United States in our School of Architecture, and the Jones Graduate School of Business, which is the #1 business incubator school in the country. It is responsible for creating more startup businesses than any other business school, and they operate all of our undergraduate business programs. We also offer pre-professional preparation in pre-medicine, pre-law, and pre-business. Rice is very proud to say that we have a 90% acceptance rate into medical school and a 90 to 95% acceptance rate into law school and business school. So a Rice University education will prepare you for whatever you want to do in your life. We also encourage our students to engage in experiential learning through research, internship, and study abroad. Every single student at Rice University has the opportunity to have all 3 of those experiences during their time as an undergraduate. When it comes to research, we offer over 45 research centers on our campus. You're able to do research as early as your freshman year, all the way until you're ready to graduate. When it comes to internships, we offer internships in the city of Houston, in the state of Texas, and all around the world through our Career Development Center across all different career professions. 90% of our undergraduates will have at least 1 internship. And then when it comes to study abroad, we offer over 150 programs in study abroad. We have sent students to every single continent, including Antarctica. So when I say we don't limit you, we truly don't limit you as a Rice student. We want you to have the fullest educational experience possible. We're a small, collaborative, communal environment where we want students to do their best both inside the classroom as well as outside the classroom. And the faculty and staff foster a sense of community that you find on our campus. We are a small university. We currently have about 3,900 undergraduate students. The median class size is 15. The student to faculty ratio is 6:1. So that means you get to know your professors really well in very small classes. In fact, we do not close classes due to low enrollment. So if you're the only student signed up for that class, it will probably still happen. That just means you got to show up, do your work, and get to know your professor extremely well, because you cannot hide it in 1-person class. It just can't happen. In terms of who teaches you, 87% of our classes are taught by faculty. We have world-renowned faculty who are at the top of their fields, who are equally devoted to cutting-edge research as well as quality undergraduate teaching. And only 5% of our classes are taught by graduate students. The remaining 8% is taught by visiting professors and professionals. We have doctors, lawyers, zoologists, world-famous rappers, also teach classes at Rice University. And then students, you have the opportunity and ability to be the professor of your own class and get to choose what you want to teach to your fellow Rice students. We've had student taught classes ranging from Lady Gaga and her cultural influence, philosophy and The Simpsons, and Star Wars through math. So we really do encourage you to impart your own knowledge and your own love of learning to your fellow Rice students. If you follow the Princeton Review rankings, you know that Rice University is consistently regarded as one of the happiest universities in the country, and currently we're ranked #1 for the best quality of life because we believe in balance. We want you to have excellent academics, but a lot of fun while you're pursuing your studies. The cornerstone of our student life experience is our housing system. It's called the residential college system. I refer to it as Harry Potter on steroids because instead of being sorted by a sorting hat, no one is sorted. You're randomly assigned to one of the 11 residential colleges on our campus. It is where you live when you live on campus. Even if you don't live on campus, you're still affiliated with your college. Now, they're all equal in terms of the standard of living, but they all differ in that every college will have its own colors, traditions, symbols, special events, chants for your college and against the other colleges, because you grow and come to believe that your college is the best one on campus. So Weiss College, my college, is the best college at Rice University, and no one can tell me any different. They're all great, but Weiss will always be the best. One of the benefits of the random nature of the colleges, because everyone's randomly assigned, every college is a microcosm of the university. So the same diversity you see all around Rice, you will see within your residential colleges. And we're very proud to say that Rice University is without a doubt one of the most diverse universities in the country. We have for the last 7 years consecutively been ranked #1 for the most race and class interaction of any university. And we're currently the second most international university in the United States. So when you're a part of our community, you're a part of a diverse group of students from all different backgrounds, all united together by being both Rice Owls as well as through the residential college system. Another reason for why we're one of the happiest universities in the country, we like to have a lot of fun. So to that end, we offer over 285 student organizations and clubs that range from anything and everything. We put on about 20 to 30 theatrical shows in a given year, 12 different student governments, 80% of our students are involved in community service, various arts and music organizations, including 5 different a cappella groups, Rice Spontaneous Combustion, our improv group, and one of my personal favorites, our band, the marching out band called the Mob. They do wear mob uniforms on the field during halftime. Two special things to know about our band: you don't have to try out to be a part of the mob, nor do you have to play an instrument to be a part of the mob. They'll find something for you to do on the field during halftime, guaranteed. And for sports fans and sports players, we are an NCAA Division I sports team, so we do play sports at the highest national level. We're a part of Conference USA, and we're the extremely proud Rice Owls. We offer 7 sports for men, 7 sports for women. We also offer over 30 club sports, which let you travel and compete against other club teams. And then we play over 30 intramural sports on our campus. They range from the traditional baseball, basketball, volleyball, tennis, and soccer to some more unique and interesting sports such as inner tube water polo, college trivia, Quidditch, dodgeball, esports, and the most popular intramural sport on our campus, powder puff football, where women get on the field and everyone else acts as cheerleaders and the coaches. And this is all situated on a gorgeous 300-acre campus, completely surrounded by trees. So you get that enclosed campus environment, but you're right across the street from the world's largest medical center and 10 minutes away from downtown Houston. We are situated in the 4th largest city in the United States, Houston, Texas, home to Beyonce, and yes, Rice is in formation. So we have a lot of wonderful things for you to do as a Rice student. One way that we help you connect with everything that Houston has to offer is we give every Rice student a passport to Houston. This gives all students free access to the entire metro system. So you get free access to every single bus and every single light rail. You also get free or discounted admission into opera, ballet, symphony performances, professional theater events, movie theaters, and professional sports team games. We really do want you to have access to everything Houston has to offer by just simply being a Rice student. So having an amazing student life coupled with amazing academics translates into success for our students when they graduate from Rice University. And Rice students go on to do amazing things in their lives. Currently, about 55% of our seniors have a job lined up on the day of graduation. 35% continue on their education directly into graduate school. Once again, we have a 90% acceptance rate into medical school and a 90 to 95% acceptance rate into law school and business school. So of course, the way to get to Rice University or any college or university is the admission process. So let's talk about admission. So when it comes to admission to Rice, we use a holistic approach to admission, which means that we do not have any cutoffs in our admission process. There's no cutoff GPA, no cutoff SAT and ACT score. It is going to be the combination of all of your factors that will lead you to admission. So that's why you want to make sure that you put time and attention to every single element of the application, because it's all going to be equal when we make our admission decisions. We have 2 ways for you to apply: early decision and regular decision. Early decision is binding, so that's for those students who know that Rice University is without a doubt their #1 first choice school. That deadline is November 1st of your senior year. January 4th of your senior year is our regular decision deadline. So that'll be for students who want to be able to consider all of their admission options equally. In terms of what you submit the following: an application. Rice has 3 application methods. You need to only use one method. It could be the common application, coalition application, or the QuestBridge application. Very proud founding partner of the QuestBridge program. Through those methods, you'll find the Rice Writing Supplement. This will have specific questions we use in our admission process. $75 application fee. If the fee proves to be a burden for you and your family, you can request a fee waiver through your guidance counselor. For this year and also for the next year, Rice University is test optional, so we do not require any testing for admission consideration. If you want to submit testing, you're welcome to do so, but it is not required for the admission process, and you will not be privileged based off of testing or being without testing. For the official high school transcript, it must cover all the schools you've gone to from 9th through 12th grade. So if you've ever moved, we do ask that you do go back to your previous school and make sure they send a transcript directly to us at Rice. For letters of recommendation, 1 counselor and 2 teacher letters. For teacher letters, we generally recommend that they come from teachers similar to what you want to study when you go to college, but you're welcome to submit any teacher letter that you would like. And then for interviews, they're completely optional. Interviews will be conducted through a virtual format. To schedule an interview, you go to our admission website and schedule it from an available spot, or to request an interview, you have to be an applicant, which means you have to submit your Rice writing supplement and the application to then make a request for an interview. So Rice is also regarded as one of the most affordable in the most affordable institutions in higher education because we're deeply committed to our students and our families. We want you to come to Rice, receive an excellent education, and for it not to be a financial burden. So to that end, we do meet 100% of demonstrated need for all students admitted to the university, and that is inclusive of international students. We do have a very special financial aid program called the Rice Investment. It's our way of ensuring that students from all socioeconomic backgrounds can come to Rice and receive an excellent education and for it to be affordable. So for all U.S. permanent resident, undocumented students, and students with DACA status, if you're admitted to Rice University, we will meet 100% of your need. And if your family's income is under $200,000, we will make up your financial aid package with no loans. It'll just be institutional grants and work study that will make up your financial aid package and any scholarships that you receive. And then based off of your family's income, you will receive a need-based scholarship. For families who have incomes of under $65,000, if admitted, you'll receive a scholarship that covers tuition, fees, and room and board. If your family's income is in between $65,000 to $130,000, you'll receive a full tuition scholarship. And if your family's income is in between $130,000 to $200,000, you'll get a half tuition scholarship. And once again, no loans will be packaged. If your family's income is above that, we will still meet 100% of your need, but loans could be packaged in order to meet that need. We also offer merit-based scholarships. All you have to do is apply to Rice University. Every single student who applies to Rice will automatically be considered for every single merit scholarship. So no separate application, no separate deadline, no separate deadline for merit scholarship consideration. And just like our admission decision, our scholarship decisions are based on a holistic process. So that means you want to be as detailed as possible in your application. That one detail you thought wasn't that important could actually be the detail that makes you a standout and leads to you receiving a merit-based scholarship. And our merit scholarships range from $3,000 per year to full tuition for all 4 years. So hopefully you've enjoyed this quick introduction into Rice University. In case you would like to experience the university even more, we do encourage you to go to admission.rice.edu, where you can sign up for a virtual information session, a virtual campus tour. You can connect with our Rice students and also engage in our application advice series, where we talk about the college admission process. With that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and open up the floor to any questions. Also, for anyone who is interested in the university, I'm also dropping a link into the chat. Please feel free to fill that out if you're interested in the university, to once again just show that you attended this fair and are interested in Rice. For the student who asked the question, do we have any majors related to agriculture? So for most of our students who are interested in agriculture, they tend to major in either biology or chemistry, because we do have some courses that are related to agriculture and to food science. And generally that's where they would major if they're interested in agriculture. For Daryl and Jake Nicholson asking about jazz studies in the music school. So the music school does primarily focus on classical training. There are a few jazz courses, but I wouldn't say that jazz is necessarily a specialty that you could do with respect to the School of Music. I will say that we do have a jazz ensemble for students to join and other jazz programming, but primarily the Shepherd School of Music focuses on classical. Any other questions? So Daniel asked the question, are students on campus right now? Yes, we do have students who are on campus right now. I will say that we're probably at about 50% capacity in terms of our campus as of right now, because once again, we want students to be able to be on campus, but we want them to be safe and engaging in physical distancing and going along with COVID guidelines. So right now we are about 50% capacity, and the other 50% of our students are conducting their classes via online. Anyone else?
Okay, I think that might be it for questions. But thank you so much for your presentation. It was really funny and really great. And thank you for coming and joining us today and talking about it. And so for our next college, we will have New College of Florida, and with our representative Sonia Wu talking about New College and everything to do with that. So thank you so much, Brandon.
Well, good morning. My name is Sonia Wu. I'm chair of the admissions committee at New College of Florida. Let me share my screen if I can. There we go. So I also am an alum of my college. I graduated in 1985, and New College is just up the road from most of you. We're actually next door to the Ringling Museum. We're on both the north side and the south side of the Ringling Museum. And we are Florida's public honors college. As a public college, the costs to attend are very similar throughout the state university system in Florida. A Florida resident for tuition purposes pays about $7,000 a year in tuition. We are also a residential college, which means that we expect our students to live on campus, although we can make exceptions certainly for students who are going to be living with family within 30 miles of the college. We have special arrangements for them to get a request for a housing waiver. Our campus is right on the water, so that's very handy, especially for our marine biology students who get sent out into the bay to collect specimens, to go do shark tagging projects with Dr. Gardner, and the marine biology lab is right on the water as well. One of the things that's special about our program is that it's based on a very personal, individualized approach to your education. We call it the compass because it's meant to help you navigate not only school, but your life after college. So they ask you always, what are you interested in doing? What do you want to do right now? What do you want to do later on after you graduate? Whether it's something that might involve an advanced degree, or do you want to go right into a particular job field? And they're looking always for ways to connect you to opportunity. So right from day one, you're assigned not only a faculty advisor, but also a career coach so that you can talk with both of them about how you can incorporate internships into your academic program for credit. So if you're thinking, you know, I might like to go on to be a lawyer, there are lots of different kinds of law that a student can go on to practice. And so you might look to do internships with lawyers in different kinds of fields, whether it's public defense, whether it's social justice, whether it's corporate law. and find out, is this something you really want to do? In addition to learning kind of those soft person skills about how to work with the people who supervise you and how to collaborate with others in a work setting, you also learn more about how you want to spend your life after college, because it's very important that you find work that is not only meaningful, but enjoyable. What we also do to connect students with opportunity is we have them do research on a regular basis as part of their program. So research projects can be done in January, which is our independent study period. They can also be done through courses as well as individualized tutorials that you can set up for credit. If you've got permission from your professors, you can design classes as part of your program for credit. And then everybody does a senior project as well, a senior capstone project to show their proficiency in their field. And we have a pre-professional network that we call the Novo Network to help you link up with professionals in the fields that you're considering who can help you to prepare for going on in those fields. So faculty mentoring is a big, big deal at New College. For myself and from talking with current students, I know that the kind of relationship you build with your professors is very, very important. We have a 7-to-1 student faculty ratio, and the classes tend to be very intimate. Although the class size will range, the average size for a class at New College is only 12 students. And we have special arrangements for students to get experience beyond the majors that we offer. So if you're thinking, well, I have an interest in business, and sure, I'm interested in economics and finance, which are programs that we offer. But what if I want to get some more direct hands-on experience? We have some new certificate programs in business and technology. And for students who are thinking, well, yeah, I'm interested in math and science, but I think I might like to go on to be an engineer. We have a special new dual degree program with the University of Florida, where you can go to New College for 2 years, apply to UF for transfer into their engineering program, and then complete the dual degree of a Bachelor of Arts in Liberal Arts and a Bachelor of Science in Engineering for UF. So these are our majors. We have over 40 different programs. Some programs that we offer are kind of more like minors, where you might combine the field with something else that you're studying, or you might approach it in some sort of an interdisciplinary way, or just do it kind of as an add-on. So there are lots of different options for this. The liberal arts traditional fields tend to be in 3 different programs of study. So it could be in the sciences for like math, physics, biology, chemistry, computer science, biochemistry. We also have the humanities, which is for like languages, English, philosophy, religion, and then in the social sciences, political science, economics, sociology, psychology, very, very popular. So you want to make sure that you find a school, of course, that offers things that you want to study and that you get the kind of experience that you're looking for. So as you're kind of asking yourself questions about what do I really want in a college, things like location certainly may be very important to you. Things like student life may be very important to you. But you want to make sure that the schools that you're considering have the academic resources for the kinds of courses you want to take and for the preparation you need to do to get ready for after college. One of the things that's special about our program is that when you register for classes, you don't just go online and pick stuff. You actually sit down and talk with your faculty advisor and make sure that you're going to use the classes that you set up to prepare for your field for later on. And so that's a system where you sit down regularly every single semester to discuss your goals, knowing that your goals may change over time. At the end of every semester, our faculty will write you performance evaluations to tell you how you've done. So you might get things like percentage grades on exams and papers and things like that. But what they'll focus on is giving you constructive feedback on what you've done. So they'll say, here are things you did well, here are things we'd like to see you work on, and here's something we recommend for the future. I mentioned the tutorials, which are those individual projects that students can do during the semester, the independent study projects that students can do in January, and then the final senior capstone project that students do at the end. And one of the things that I most like to do is to tell you, start with the admissions office, but end up talking with students and faculty. So when you have questions about okay, I know what this is now, but what's it like to do this? Have us get you in touch with our student ambassador program, have us help you set up a virtual class visit, and get in touch with our faculty by email. They love talking with prospective students. Life on campus. Whether or not you live on campus, there's a lot going on campus. For students who live in the residence halls, we've got different types of styles of learning. Some of them are more traditional residence halls in the sense that you share bathrooms with other folks in your residence hall, but it's also something where you're not sharing with a lot of folks in that residence hall. So there'll be small modules within a residence hall, or you may be sharing just with your roommate. And we've got some apartment style residence halls too, where people have their own private bedroom and share some kitchen and living space with the other folks in their residence hall. We've got these things called living learning communities, where the students work with our student affairs staff to set up sort of common interests that they think will be important to students coming in. And so some of the recent themes that we've had have been international studies, outdoor adventure, pride, music performance, and it just depends on what the students most want to do. They have special programs that they do that are related to this, as well as resident advisors who help them. And so it gives you a chance basically to find some common ground right from the start that year. We've got over 80 different kinds of clubs and organizations. We have a waterfront program, although we don't have Division II athletics or anything that is quite that intercollegiate in terms of sports. We do have a sailing team that joins some regattas, and we have students who row crew. We also have students who will get involved just with kind of more league games for things like soccer and softball. If it's something that you'd like to do, if you can get other folks interested in doing it, it's pretty easy to set up your own group. And if you want student affairs to help out with that, you work with them to make sure you put together bylaws and ask for funding from the Student Allocations Committee. We've also got lots and lots of organizations in the local area that are available to help you find internships, whether it's Marine Lab or the Ross Camp Institute, whether it's a social justice group like the Southern Poverty Law Center. There are lots of different ways that you can kind of stick your toe in the water for finding out what professional life may end up being like in that field, and also make a contribution as well as get academic credit for what you're doing. Because again, we're always looking to help students build that real world experience into their academic program for credit. We're also a member of the Cross College Alliance. So right here in town, we've got different colleges that basically have an exchange with each other. So if you're a new college student and you want to take a class at Ringling College of Art and Design, that's one of the colleges that's part of the Cross College Alliance. Other members include the State College of Florida and USF Sarasota Manatee. The Ringling Museum is also involved. Ringling is run by the Florida State University. And so we have students who will do internship work with the Ringling Museum for credit. So if they're thinking they might like to go on to do museum work for their career after graduation, it gives them a chance to get an experience in that. And for away from campus, if you want to go to another college in the US or abroad, you can do that through the National Student Exchange. We've got an arrangement where students pay their tuition directly to New College, and it gives them access to over 100 different colleges and universities in the US and Canada, and some study abroad programs. We're also a member of Eco League. Most of the members of the National Student Exchange are public colleges and universities. Eco League, we're actually the only public member. So you have a chance to go and get a private college education in a completely different setting. And so it gives you a chance to go to like Alaska or Wisconsin or Arizona and get some experience at another school that also has a very strong commitment to the environment. Here's some of our marine bio students. Marine biology is very popular at New College. And again, we're right on the water, so they like to send them out into the bay to get specimens and do work with Dr. Gardner and her blacktip shark program. For students who are thinking of going on to graduate school, sometimes people say, well, you use written evaluations and do performance evaluations, but what if I want to go on to graduate school? We have a very strong reputation in the grad school community. As you can see, we're one of the top colleges in the country for students going on to earn the PhD. We are actually the top PhD producing public college for the country. Cost of attendance, here's the quick breakdown. For Florida residents, tuition and fees, again, is about $7,000, pretty similar across the state university system in Florida. Room and board runs about $9,700. Books and other expenses vary really widely. So it depends on the courses you're taking. Do you get used textbooks? Do you rent textbooks? And then what are your spending habits in terms of, you know, your funds for things like entertainment and laundry and so forth, eating out now and then. Some students live very thriftily and their books and other expenses don't come to anything like that amount. And again, for students who are living at home with family, you won't have the typical room and board expenses, although you will have a small cafeteria plan. And in addition, we do strongly encourage all of our students, please file the FAFSA. The free application for federal student aid is the way that we determine if you're eligible for any kind of need-based aid, not just from the federal government, but also from the state of Florida government and also from New College, because we've got need-based awards as well as merit-based scholarships. For scholarships this year for a Florida resident, we're basing them on grade point average. So our top scholarship this year for fall 21 is $3,000 a year for students who have a 4.0 or better, 3.6 to 3.99, $2,000 a year, under 3.6, $1,000 a year. And then we've also got a scholarship competition. If you want to apply for additional funding, we've got scholarships that you can compete for related to leadership, related to writing, and related to STEM. We've also got a special one for students from the Sarasota, Bradenton area. If you're from Manatee County or Sarasota County, you should definitely consider applying for the Barancic Scholarship. This is a way that we can help students who are finding the cost of living on campus, you know, a little pricier than they're really able to cover. Gives them a chance to get access to a cool leadership program that we have on campus, and also get some need-based aid funding for helping them cover the costs of living on campus. There's also a smaller award available for students who live off campus. So whether you're on campus or off campus, definitely a good idea to apply for the Barancic Scholarship. And that's one of the ways that the Barancic Foundation invests in its local people. Here's some admissions stats. We try not to use just a formula for admission. So sometimes people look at the middle 50% and say, oh, you know, I'm below the low end of that, so the answer is going to be no. That's not the way we do admission at New College. We're public, so we have certain expectations about the kinds of courses you've taken. And basically that means that, let's say that you're taking all of your math and you're doing math through pre-calculus. I mean, that's great. We love to see students doing math at least through pre-calculus, but we don't specifically require it. When we go through and look at your application, we'll parse it out, make sure you've got the required courses in terms of the distribution of study and the earned units that the state requires. We give extra weighting to honors courses and extra weighting to advanced placement, ACE, IB, and dual enrollment courses that are in the core. So when you do submit your transcript, that'll give us a better idea of what kind of student you are than just saying, here's your GPA, here's your exam score, because it lets us look at the courses and the levels of courses that you've taken. We do require the SAT or the ACT. And so what we'll do is super score. We'll give you your best evidence-based reading, your best math, for the SAT, the best bits and pieces of your ACT if you take the ACT, and we'll consider whatever falls higher for you on both of those scales. And this is all based on recalculated GPAs. Here's some of our orientation leaders. I know there was a question for the gentleman from Rice about students on campus. Our students, some of them are on campus. This year we committed to having very low density in the residence halls. So every student who wanted a private room on campus was able to get a private room on campus. But we wanted to make sure that we were keeping things as safe as possible. If you visited the campus, just to walk around, we're doing tours at this time only for students admitted to fall 21 to help them make their decision and to keep our on-campus density very low. But you're welcome actually to wander around campus a bit, down by the Bayfront in particular. We do ask that everyone who comes to campus at this time mask up, and socially distance, because we want to make sure that we're keeping everyone as safe as possible. So that's part of our plan that we filed with the Board of Governors at this time. So if you want to get in touch with us, here's our contact information. Again, even though we're not doing on-campus visits for tours for prospective students who don't yet have an offer of admission, we are glad to put you in touch with students, if we can, with a student interested in what you're interested in terms of studies. We're also glad to put you in touch with faculty and to help you visit a class. If you have questions about how to apply for aid, and even if you're very early in the process, even if you're in middle school and you want to talk about what kinds of things should I be thinking about for when I plan to do my courses in high school, we are always glad to talk to any student, especially any student who's looking ahead that way. And that is my presentation. Does anybody have questions they would like answered? Does the college work closely with Mote Marine? Actually, we have several faculty who do work with Mote Marine Lab. And so often what will happen is they will have students along with them to do those kinds of projects. Gordon Bauer, who's actually emeritus now, retired and still working with the college, has an experiment program that he's been doing on an ongoing basis for years now with Hugh and Buffett, the two big manatees that they have there at Mote Lab. And so he and his students over time have done a great deal of work with those manatees to test their visual acuity, test their respiration. They worked on teaching Hugh and Buffett when they needed to take blood samples to swim up and roll over on their backs and hold out their flippers so that they could draw blood. And before this was done, because manatees are a protected species, very little had been done with training with them at all. And so previously they had to take them into a small tank, drain out the water, and have 11 people hold down this poor animal that was very stressed out because it suddenly didn't have any water and we were going to draw blood from them. So when they were able to train them, it made it for not only a safer experience for the human volunteers, but also a much better experience for the manatees. So with Mote, yes, not just with the manatees, but with sea turtles and other organisms. Do we require letters of recommendation? No, we do not. The application is either through the New College application online or through the Common application. Essay, completely optional. Recommendation, completely optional. Submit them if you want, don't if you don't want to. We require the application and your transcript, or the SAR if you've done the self-reported student academic record, either is fine. And your exam scores, which you can self-report if you prefer. If you don't want to pay the testing agency to send them, you can self-report up front and then get the official ones sent to us later if you're going to enroll with us. We have, again, no requirement for an essay, no requirement for recommendation, and we waive the application fee. Have you had students pursue agriculture? What major if they wanted to pursue agriculture? We don't have an agriculture program at New College, and probably a student interested in agriculture would be most likely, depending on their interest within that, would probably be studying something like biology or biochemistry. And they would probably be doing work as well, depending again on their interest. They might be doing work with the environmental studies program. So Dulce, do you have a particular interest within agriculture? Are you interested in going into large scale farming, small scale farming, policy? I'm sorry, I just put you on the spot.
It's okay. An interest of mine would be agronomy, an agronomist, like that area. Yeah.
Okay, I confess, you're gonna have to tell me, what's an agronomist?
Well, agronomists work like in the field of like crops and stuff. Like they evaluate plants and they do research, and they work to improve like the what's it called? The consumption of food, you know, of how people consume their food and stuff. They evaluate like the foods and things with like the crops and plants. So,
So my guess, and you're welcome to, if you email me at the college, I'd be glad to put you in touch with one of our faculty. My guess is that the fields that would be most interesting to you would be bio and chem, and probably biochem, because there's so many connections between the two. Almost assuredly, you would want to go to graduate school. And again, good news there. A lot of our students go on to grad school. It's certainly not a requirement, but you'd also want to look for ways to get involved, probably through the UF agricultural extension, because a number of our students have done work with them. One of our students, who actually, she ended up going on to do several degrees, and now she's a doctor. But one of the things that she did was, for her senior thesis, she worked with UF's agricultural extension, doing a study on tomato fungus. And so she had access, she did all of her lab work in their labs, which was really cool. And then she also had access to the control group. So she had all these tomatoes she could bring home to her housemates. So what we'd probably want to do is see what we can do about getting you in touch with one of our faculty about your interests and how you might apply the flexibility of internships and projects to being able to do some upfront work with those fields. Do we have any musical?
That would be awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So just, you can email me. You don't even have to have my personal email address, which is swu@ncf.edu, but you can just email admissions@ncf.edu, just like it was on the PowerPoint, or just call. We're really easy to reach. I mean, goodness sake, we're right up the road, right? And just let me know to get you in touch with folks. I'm glad to do it. Do you have any musical ensembles, jazz studies, or musical production courses, programs for students with interest in music? We do. We have a jazz group called New Cats. I don't know that they're very active this year. It's been very challenging for some of the groups to do work together because of the COVID restrictions. But it's different from, like, if you were to go to University of North Florida, which has a big jazz studies program, right? Your experience with them is going to be very different. A lot of the performance aspects of what a music student does at New College will usually be related to composition and theory and musicology, more so than an established program of ensembles. So if you'd like to learn more about that, again, email me through admissions at NCF. How easy is it for students to get involved in community service? Has service at New College changed since the pandemic? I think everything has changed for everyone since this awful pandemic. My gosh. There are ways that you can get involved. Some of those are online ways, which is not maybe quite as exciting and interesting as being in person, but absolutely there are ways to get involved in community service. One of the big ones our students have been involved with this year in particular is through the Multicultural Health Alliance, which has been working hard to make sure that folks from the Newtown community have better access to health services, which has been it's just been such a severe challenge during this pandemic. I know that Trevor Harvey, the president of the NAACP, is doing a lot online through Facebook, saying the example of getting his COVID vaccine and so forth. But it's a very big social challenge, and it's something that several of our students have been very deeply involved in. I think I'm taking up more than my time. I should let you folks go to your next person.
No,
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ms. Wu, for presenting for us today. We really appreciate it.
I'm glad to do it. Glad to do it anytime.
Thank you. All right, and now we have presenting with us Middlebury College with Michelle Nelson. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hello, and thank you. I'm also accompanied by my colleague, Maria Nava, and we'll do more formal introductions of ourselves in just a second, but just want to say thank you so much to Nicholas and Brianna, especially for organizing this program. We're really excited to be here, and thank you for including Middlebury. I'm gonna get my screen sharing set up here. In the meantime, though, I don't know if folks can use their raise hand feature, or maybe throw it in the chat, or maybe Nicholas, you can share on behalf of the group, but we're curious to know who's here with us. Do we have mostly 11th grade students? Do we have students from sort of all across the different class years? I I see an 11th grade in the chat, 12th grade. Okay, well, feel free to keep adding to the chat and let us know who you are. I'm also just putting a link in the chat right now if you would like to fill out a very short registration form to stay connected with Middlebury. You can click on that link at any point and stay connected with us. All right, so now I am going to attempt to share my screen. You can all give me a thumbs up if that looks good. Awesome. Well, again, thank you so much for having us. There we go. So my name is Michelle Nelson. I work in the admissions office at Middlebury. I use she, her pronouns. I am the admissions counselor for Florida, so that's how I am connected to all of you. What that means is, I do programs like this virtually. When we're not living in the midst of a pandemic, I will come to Florida at least once a year, sometimes twice a year, to visit with students in person at their high schools, at college fairs. And then eventually, should you decide to apply to Middlebury, I would be one of the people who reviews your application and advocates for your candidacy in the admissions committee. I've been at Middlebury for over 21 years. My partner is a faculty member at Middlebury, so I have sort of that perspective of what it's like to be a professor and what it's like to know a professor. My own son just finished applying to college this year. He's a high school senior here in Middlebury, so also have that new and interesting perspective. And then also want to add that I am a first generation college student myself. That's still an important part of my identity and why I do the work that I do. I graduated not from Middlebury, but from a similar liberal arts and sciences college in Northern New England. I'm gonna turn it over to Maria for a minute to introduce herself, and then the two of us are gonna sort of present some information to you about Middlebury.
Hi everyone, thanks for being here on a Saturday morning. My name is Maria Nava. I am an admissions counselor here at Middlebury. I use she, her pronouns. And I am originally from Los Angeles, California, but I left at 18 to attend Middlebury College, and I graduated in 2018 with a degree in mathematics and Italian. And since then, I've been doing this job, and it's been really exciting to, similar to Michelle, to support students, especially first generation students, kind of come to and learn more about Middlebury. So I'm excited to be here.
All right, so we'll go ahead and get started. I'm going to get us started with just some quick facts about Middlebury. So Middlebury is a residential liberal arts and sciences college, and we enroll approximately 2,500 students. We're a fully undergraduate institution, so we have no graduate students on our Vermont campus between the months of September and May. Our students come from all 50 United States, Washington, D.C., Puerto Rico, and almost 80 different countries around the world. Within our sort of learning environment, students can choose from 49 different majors and programs. More than half of our students choose more than one major or program. One of the nice elements of studying at a liberal arts and sciences college is that the curriculum is very flexible. So as Maria described, she was a double major in math and Italian. The liberal arts allows you to combine your different interests. And so more than half of our students do that in some form or another. In addition to our main campus in Vermont, which you can see portrayed in this image, Middlebury also consists of 38 schools abroad, immersive language schools that operate in the summertime. And we do have a small graduate institute of international studies located in Monterey, California. But we're mostly going to be talking today about the undergraduate college. All of our students, nearly all of our students live on campus for all 4 years. So the residential aspect of the Middlebury experience is an important one. It creates a strong sense of community, and we guarantee housing for students for all 4 years. So that's not something that you have to sort of be concerned about. You will always have housing on campus.
Great. And so some of you may be wondering, what is the liberal arts education, right? And I think Michelle did a great job of letting you know that you can kind of explore all of these different areas of study, and the liberal arts really teaches you not just, you know, information in the classroom, but also the hope is that you gain valuable skills like thinking critically and problem solving and efficient communication skills that you can then take on with you in your life after college, which I can definitely attest to as a graduate myself. So think of the liberal arts experience kind of like you're going to try a bunch of different samplings of all of these different areas of study, finding ways in which they can connect, and in the end kind of building community and having conversation around that, similar to what's pictured in this classroom setting. Most of our classrooms will look like this, where the professor will know you by your name. You'll be having discussions with your classmates and learning along with one another and supporting each other through that process in this kind of dynamic and interactive classroom settings. And the average class size is, I think, 15 students. So you'll definitely be getting a lot of individualized attention, and our professors are very accessible to answer your questions, to make sure that you're not just, you know, studying for a grade, but that you're actually understanding the material and invested in the things that you're learning about. Michelle, next slide, please. Another, again, benefit of the liberal arts is kind of flexibility and exploration. And even though, you know, I mentioned that I was a math and Italian student, I always tried to make sure to take an additional class that was really fun, like a dance class or an American studies class or another English literature class, something that would allow me to balance my schedule, but also because I was still interested in those things, right? And I think that the benefits of doing a liberal arts is that you don't have to stick to just learning and studying about one area, and you can really take your interest and kind of run with them. And so no matter what your major is, I will say that all of our students do come in undeclared, so you don't have to know what you want to study. If you have an idea, then that's awesome. But again, it's not a requirement, and students have until the end of their sophomore year to declare a major. So plenty of time to explore, figure things out, and then decide. Next slide, please. Another benefit of the liberal arts experience is what we call experiential learning. And this is getting hands-on experience. Again, things that you can take with you beyond your time in college. So our students are very involved in lab work, you know, if you're in the sciences, but also research across all of our disciplines. A lot of our students do end up doing some form of research by the time that they graduate. And again, this is because we want to make sure that you are implementing the things that you're learning in the classroom outside of the classroom as well, and getting those experiences.
Okay, so the next segment of our presentation, we're going to talk specifically about some of the elements of the Middlebury experience that we think are sort of distinguishing, that might help you distinguish Middlebury specifically from other similar small liberal arts and sciences colleges. And the first place to start in talking about that, no pun intended, is to talk about our setting and our location. So you can see the drawing here, which is the map of the state of Vermont, and you can see the sort of adjoining states, and just some quick facts about how accessible we are to some major metropolitan areas in the Northeast region of the United States. And then in Burlington, which is Vermont's largest city, where the University of Vermont is located, that's where sort of the major airport is that's closest to our campus. So for students who are traveling from further distances, and many of our students are, to attend Middlebury, that's likely where you would arrive when coming to campus. And so our setting in the region of Vermont that we call the Champlain Valley, it's kind of a lake valley set between two mountain ranges, offers our students an experience that's really deeply rooted in a sense of place and community. 95 to 96% of our students are not from Vermont. And in some classes, upwards of 75% of students are not from New England. So for most students, this is sort of a new cultural and regional experience, and getting to know sort of this place that will be your community for 4 years is an important part of the Middlebury experience. And students do that in different ways. For some, they're really excited to experience recreational opportunities that are allowed in this type of environment. So hiking, finding local swimming holes when the weather is warm enough. For other students, they take advantage of the location in their academic experience, maybe in doing field work or a community connected project in a class. And speaking of community engagement and sort of being involved in the local community is something that's very important to our students, and more than half of them participate in community engagement opportunities. The college campus at Middlebury is directly adjacent to the town of Middlebury. I like to think of it as kind of a classic, quintessential small New England college town. But that's also kind of an element of the experience too, is that your life isn't sort of defined. Well, you probably spend most of your time on campus, your life doesn't have to be defined by that. And so you can sort of get outside of that bubble and experience the local community. Over to you, Maria.
And of course, a nice counterpoint to this small town Vermont setting is, of course, our kind of global connectedness. I think Michelle mentioned at the beginning that we have several schools abroad. Middlebury is known pretty well for our language learning. And part of that is, again, being able to take what you're learning in the classroom and applying it outside of the classroom. So our language experiences can take you basically all around the world. And a good amount of our students, I think about 60% of our students, end up studying abroad. And to talk a little bit more, if you study a language at Middlebury, you can choose to study abroad in that language in our Middlebury specific programs. However, if you don't want to study a language, we also do have English programs and other partnerships that come along with the experience for you to be able to go to a place in the world that is interesting to you and study the things that you would want to study. I personally studied Italian, so that did mean that I got to spend about 5 months in Florence, Italy. 18-year-old me, when I left California, I never even thought about leaving the country. And so to have that as an option was really quite a privilege. And as someone who was on financial aid, all of my financial aid transferred over to specifically for the Middlebury Schools Abroad, which made that program much more accessible. So I got to spend a wonderful 5 months in Florence, Italy, studying, living and learning in the language, because part of this experience is that it is a fully immersive language program. So that means that I was living with an Italian family, studying at the Italian university alongside Italian students and professors, and it was Italian 100% of the time. I even remember calling my mom and she speaks Spanish, so we would talk in Spanish, but like my Italian started coming out of me just because it was so similar, and I was just around it all of the time. So those are the kinds of experiences that Middlebury really emphasizes to get you into these spaces and for you to kind of explore and go beyond what you originally thought you wanted to do, which happened for me.
Another sort of, I guess, distinctive element of Middlebury College is our environmental studies program. it is one of those 49 different academic majors and programs. So there are many others to choose from, but at Middlebury, the Environmental Studies program was the first to be founded in the United States. It's also one of our most popular majors. I'll also note other really popular majors right now include computer science, economics, neuroscience, and political science. Beyond our academic program, though, in environmental studies, I think another important thing to know about Middlebury is that we have a very strong culture of environmentalism and sustainability. So, that might not be your academic interest, but you can expect to be in an environment where there's sort of a high level of awareness and a high level of engagement in environmentalism and sustainability. Middlebury as an institution became carbon neutral. We were one of the first colleges to achieve that mark back in the year 2016. And we continue to sort of develop and establish new sustainability goals, whether it be from like where we invest our money to working towards 100% renewable energy use. And we have a goal there to get to that level by the year 2028. So a few quick notes there about environmentalism at Middlebury, which is another thing that we're well known for as a college.
And now we get to talk about winter, right? So I know you might look at this picture and get a little bit nervous. I know I was a little bit nervous as someone coming from California about winter, but I think Middlebury does a great job of kind of allowing you to enjoy winter, even as someone who maybe has never experienced it. And one of the ways in which we do that is through our academic calendar. So Middlebury has this little mini semester nestled between our regular semesters where you get to take one class intensively for the entire month of January. And this is known as our January term or winter term. So typically in a semester, you'll take 4 classes, but in this mini semester, you will take that one class for 4 weeks. And so this is, again, another one of those times when Middlebury really allows you to fully immerse yourself in this one class. And these classes may look a little bit different than they do in the traditional semester. So for example, some of my favorite J-term classes include, what was it called? Performance and social activism, which was a dance class. And it doesn't sound like a dance class, but we started learning about how movement and bodies and people can be a form of a social movement. So we were dancing 2 hours every single day. We were doing a lot of reading, and our final project was to come up with a performance in a public space that everyone could come and see using all of the things that we were learning. It was like one of the most fun classes that I had taken and completely unrelated to my majors, right? Another awesome class that I took was a Spanish writing class, and it was called like journalism and in Spanish. And I basically spent an entire month working on my Spanish skills, but also reflecting a lot on my own identity, learning about different parts of me that I hadn't thought about throughout my college experience. Again, another really amazing class. So there's a lot of different options. And because you're only taking that one class, maybe it means that you have a little bit extra time to go out and do something fun and enjoy the winter, which I know sounds kind of funny. So our students do have access to our Middlebury College-owned Snow Bowl, which is our own ski mountain. We do have scholarships available for students who have never done this before. So if you want to try this out, we want to make sure that Middlebury students do get the full Middlebury experience. And so here's a picture of a few students who are on our ski mountain trying that for the first time. I tried skiing for the first time last year. So it took me 6 years, but I wish I would have done it a little bit sooner. Along with skiing, maybe winter sports aren't your thing. There's a bunch of different workshops and other kind of fun events that happen during this time for students to keep connecting around similar interests as well.
I will note that this picture was shared with me by one of our students from Miami. And so it's Daniela and a group of her friends at the Snow Bowl learning how to ski. So you too can learn to do this. Very quickly, we don't have enough time to really dive deeply into this, but I also want to acknowledge how sort of active our students are outside of the classroom at Middlebury. It's a place where there's a lot of school spirit, whether it's, cheering on one of our athletic teams or, filling up the auditorium for a dance performance. Middlebury students are very supportive of one another and their talents and their interests outside of the classroom. And they're just a plethora of ways to be involved on campus outside of the classroom. There are over 200 different student-led clubs and organizations on campus. So no matter your interest, the performing arts, journalism, cultural and affinity groups, hosting your own radio show, learning a new skill like log rolling, there are just so many ways to be involved. And our students do a really good job of balancing their lives. They're serious about their academics, but they're also, serious about learning new things and having fun and having new experiences outside of the classroom.
And now we get to talk briefly about one of my favorite spaces on campus, which is our Anderson Freeman Resource Center. This is our intercultural center on campus. It's actually pretty new. It was founded about 6 years ago now. And it kind of serves as a hub for students who identify as typically underrepresented on college campuses. So if you're first gen, if you're a student of color, if you come from a low income background, if you're LGBTQIA+, all of those identities are typically underrepresented. And it's basically a space that allows you to build community. And this place runs a lot of different affinity clubs and organizations like Alianza, which is our Latinx Caribbean club, BSU, and different organizations like that. It's also home to one of my favorite programs, which is First at Mid. And First at Mid is a first generation pre-orientation program that started when I was a junior. So I actually did not participate in First at Mid, but I was able to lead a First at Mid. So it's kind of to bring you to campus early, help you kind of adjust and learn what a college campus is before all of the other students get here, and really build community around what it means to be a first generation college student on a college campus. And so this has become a very big community on our campus that is run by the Anderson Freeman Resource Center. And then next slide, Michelle. You'll kind of find this space pretty full with lots of different activities, different stress busters. And definitely at the end of the year, we get to celebrate all of our wonderful students who are graduating. And I think that's what's happening in these pictures, or we might be welcoming new classes. But basically, a lot of students find this place to be home and find a place where they can build community around these different identities that they hold.
Again, I'll only be scratching the surface, but I do want to kind of talk a little bit about sort of how and what Middlebury students do after they graduate, and especially how we support them in achieving those goals. Middlebury has a center on campus called the Center for Careers and Internships. It's one of the many ways that your kind of academic classroom experience will be enhanced through different programs, through different kinds of advising that you can access, through different kinds of financial resources that you can access. And this center specifically focuses on, again, students thinking about their post-Middlebury goals and plans. And so from, career specific advising, you can have a one-on-one meeting with an advisor who specializes, for example, in, the finance world, or in law and government, or in STEM areas, to hosting, hundreds of different programs throughout the year where you can learn more about career and internship opportunities. To helping students, apply to jobs, apply to graduate school, and fund you to have experiential learning opportunities that are specifically kind of career oriented, say in the summertime, to have an internship. Just like you have a very personalized classroom experience, you will also have a very personalized career planning experience at Middlebury. And our students have a high level of success in achieving their goals after graduation. And these are just a couple of quick facts around that.
And lastly, again, very quickly, a little note on admissions and affordability. So our admissions policy, we do a holistic review of an application. So that means that every single part of your story matters to us. So it's not just the GPA or, you know, all the numbers. It's also who are you as a person? How are you challenging yourself inside and outside of the classroom? Are you a good community member? And what are you kind of hoping to gain from a Middlebury experience, right? Things that Middlebury does not consider is whether you're submitting standardized test scores. We did make a commitment to be, what is it called? Test optional.
Test optional.
Yeah, test optional for the 3 years. So this is our first year test optional, and we will be test optional, and maybe hopefully after that as well. We also need blind in the admissions process. So what that means is that we do not look at your family's financial ability or inability to pay for college as part of your decision. So that means, you know, whether you can pay the full amount or you can't, it won't be factored into your decision. With that being said, we also do guarantee that we will meet 100% of financial need for all of our students. Sorry, I meant to say that we are need blind for domestic students, and that includes undocumented students, asylees, refugees, and documented students as well. But yeah, we do meet 100% of demonstrated need and try to make Middlebury as affordable as possible for students. I know that I would not have been able to attend Middlebury had it not been for the generous financial aid offer that I received. Anything that I missed, Michelle?
No, I think we should probably stop there given where we're at for time. We wanted to, again, thank you for joining us today. Please email either of us anytime with your questions. Here are our email address. Please write them down. We'll also put them in the chat. And then if you're interested in, you know, connecting more with Middlebury, go to our gomiddlebury.edu/visit page, where, you know, currently you could sign up for a session any day of the week with some current students, where you'll hear a little bit about their own experiences coming to and experiencing Middlebury, and then there's ample time for question and answer after that. And then we imagine summertime and in the fall months especially, we'll kind of ramp up that programming virtually, especially if we're all still not able to do a lot of traveling. So we would love for you to stay connected with us. Thanks again for joining us. I don't know if we're out of time here or if we have time to take a question or two. I'll leave that up to Nicholas to let us know.
Well, you're free to take some questions, sure.
All right, so either, you know, unmute yourself and feel free to ask your question to us live, or throw something in the chat, but we're happy to answer questions now for a few minutes. What is your most popular major? Right now, our most popular major is economics. And then also in the top 5 right now are computer science, in no particular order, although I think computer science is number 2 right now. Political science, environmental studies, which one am I forgetting? Neuroscience, computer science, environmental studies, economics. There's one that I'm forgetting. That'll change a bit from year to year. And then the other thing to note is that many students have more than one major. So it's a little hard to sort of count, you know, what the most popular major is, because a lot of people have 2. Or they might have a major and a minor. And within some of our interdisciplinary programs, for example, like environmental studies, you can choose from any number of different areas of focus. You can be like a conservation biology major. You can be an environmental economics major. You can be a environmental nonfiction major. So, you know, even within a program, there's going to be a lot of breadth and variability in what that means.
I was just going to add that our language programs are also very popular, even though a lot of students don't actually end up majoring in languages. There are a number of students who minor in a language as well and do our abroad opportunities because of that language-based learning. So those are pretty popular, even though they're not technically counted as most popular.
I just typed in the chat, all aid at Middlebury is need-based. So unlike a lot of other institutions, we don't have merit aid at Middlebury. All of our students would qualify for merit aid. So we kind of put all of our eggs in the need-based aid basket. We're very committed to accessibility and affordability. And that's where we feel like we should be spending our financial aid budget dollars. I will also say that in a lot of cases, especially for students who have a high level of financial need, because we keep student debt at a very low level, and the way that we sort of package our financial aid awards, affordability at Middlebury might actually put you in a better position, say, than a Bright Futures scholarship at a state university in Florida. And your kind of eligibility for scholarship and aid is not tied to things like test scores and GPA. So it's, again, accessible to all. And then, is there a grad school that a lot of graduates attend, or does that depend on the major of course? What do you say about that, Maria?
I would definitely say that it depends on kind of your course of study, right? If you're interested in going to graduate school, our Center for Careers and Internships will definitely set you up for success with that, right? Like if you're interested in being pre-med in undergrad, we do have some kind of early enrollment partnerships. I think with one of them being like the University of Rochester that you can partner with. But then again, our students kind of end up in all sorts of graduate programs all across the country in all sorts of disciplines. This year, I actually applied to graduate schools for master's in higher education, something that I didn't know that I was going to be interested in when I first started college. And I applied to a few programs, including the University of Vermont, which is not one that I had considered previously. But so to answer your question, I don't think there is one clear track of what students do after graduation. There is no one clear track of what graduate program students do. I think the support systems at Middlebury will help find what works best for you in your searching, your process, and depending on what your goals are for the graduate program or career choice, etc. Ooh, there's a question about international campuses abroad. Do Middlebury students have access to classes at major international campuses, or are they all Middlebury professors? So I mentioned that when I was abroad, I was actually taking courses at the local universities, and a lot of the programs are structured in that way. You may have a Middlebury specific class with Middlebury professors at the local school that you're going to be at, and they'll help you like find you tutors, and they'll support you with anything that you need, whether academically, socially, while you're abroad. But the majority of your classes will be taking at the local universities, and that's done intentionally so that you can get to know local students and kind of immerse yourself 100% in kind of the culture and different kind of way of studying, right? Like the University of Italy system is very different than Middlebury College. So it was interesting to kind of see what that like difference was and navigating that. But luckily a Middlebury support will be on site at all of our different locations across the globe.
Do those credits count towards your major, or I guess it kind of varies according to the courses specifically, but generally?
Yeah. Yeah, they do. So because I was an Italian major, it was required that I study abroad at least one semester, and all of the classes that I took counted towards my major. I also had the option of taking a math class in Italian that would count towards my math major. However, I chose not to do that personally because I thought it might be a little bit intense. But there are students who take like writing courses in like a different language that can count towards their specific major, depending on what that is. I think you just need to work with like your advisors and professors to make sure that that can count. So it's not just taking time away from Middlebury and from your kind of course of study. I think it's all kind of combined and together.
Yeah, I would say one of the really sort of distinctive elements of the Middlebury Schools Abroad is that you have this immersive experience, that you're not in a bubble of just Middlebury students and Middlebury professors, that you're actually kind of integrated into a local university environment, and kind of achieving language fluency through that experience, as well as kind of cross-cultural understanding, and just like general personal comfort with being in a new place and experiencing a new culture is, as someone who did not attend Middlebury and a Middlebury School Abroad, really impresses me and serves our students well. So, job recruiters, when they're looking for someone who has, linguistic skills, like Middlebury is kind of the first place that they turn for. I got an email this winter actually from a high school in Florida saying, we're looking for a new Spanish and French teacher, and we know Middlebury is really good at languages. So can you, help pass this message along to your career services office? And then the other thing I was going to say, is that advising around like preparing for a study abroad experience and how that works, and whether we're talking about taking classes that will or will not apply towards your major. You will work very closely with both your academic advisor, who's a professor at Middlebury, as well as our international programs office, to really kind of vet all of that information, so that when you go abroad, you're both very prepared for your experience, as much as you can be going to a new place, and sort of the academic ramifications probably isn't quite the right word, but just sort of how that integrates into your progress towards your degree, is all sorted out before you choose your study abroad program. And so our professors, and again, I can speak from some personal experience and knowledge here, are very well versed, not only in advising students through their Middlebury courses and fulfilling requirements for the major and for graduation, they're also very well versed in, these are great abroad programs for the kinds of things that you're interested in. So they know a lot about that, which is great. So yeah, there's so much we could say. There are so many questions we can answer. We hope that you'll stay in touch with us, either personally via email or attend some more of our events to get to know Middlebury better, but want to be mindful of everyone's time, because I know you've had a long program already, and I think you still have a little bit of a ways to go with your program today. So we'll offer thanks again one more time on behalf of Middlebury and Maria and I for inviting us to join you today. This has been wonderful.
Yes, thank you so much, Ms. Nelson and Ms. Nava, for such a great presentation. We're very lucky to have you for today's virtual college fair.
All right. Well, enjoy the rest of your day. I think we'll sign off at this point, and hope to hear from you all again soon. Take good care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I think everyone enjoyed today's college presentations, and there's still some activities we have afterwards. We're gonna have a quick presentation by Pineview UnidosNow about the mission of UnidosNow, and then we're gonna break off into breakout rooms for elementary, middle, and high school students. But before we do that, we're just gonna have a brief intermission for 5 minutes until 12:35, because I know this has been a long program, but I think it's been very educational. So let's just have our quick intermission until 12:35. Thank you. We'll see you then.
One of our main goals is to make sure everyone gets equal opportunity. And so, for example, one of the campaigns that they did do was the Mi Voto Mi Futuro, and that was to encourage voter participation. And also, we have community service opportunities throughout UnidosNow. One of them being the UR Advanced tutoring for elementary, middle school students. Sorry. And another example could be also the FLA program, which is also to help kids reach a higher education, and also to help with the college process, to just help with, bettering your future, no matter where you're from.
And if you need to contact either the Pineview chapter of UnidosNow, we have this email, or the program director, Miss Cynthia, we have her email as well, which I'm going to put into the chat right now.
All right, so that was just like a quick introduction to Pineview UnidosNow, and Trace has put in our contact info as well. And additionally, if you want to learn more about UnidosNow, you can send us your email in the chat, like a private message, just so that we can connect you with opportunities for like many workshops that UnidosNow does as well. So thank you so much, everyone. And now we will begin the breakout rooms in which there, oh, 1 second. All right, now we will begin the breakout room sessions. Let me share my screen really quickly just to show how you can do that. Okay, so there are going to be 4 different breakout rooms. Number 1 will be like trivia quiz for elementary school students. Number 2 will be a trivia quiz for middle school students based on the college presentations that we just listened to. And number 3 is a high school breakout room for people who want to know how to apply for financial aid opportunities. And number 4 is a high school breakout room on how to prepare for college. And each of these breakout rooms ends with a trivia quiz where you have a chance to win a free gift card. So I would join those breakout rooms if I were you. So let me just share my screen so you can see the instructions on how to join. So it's breakout rooms, 1, elementary school students, number 2, middle school students, number 3, applying for financial aid, and number 4, preparing for college. And here is how you join the actual breakout room. So you press that. All right, so you press that window panel button at the bottom of your screen to join the breakout room. You click which room you would like to join. They're all numbered so that you know which one it is. And then press yes when it prompts and asks you if you would like to join. So pretty easy. And yeah, feel free to join those breakout rooms because, like I said, there is a opportunity to win a gift card at the end of each session in each breakout room. So thank you again for joining us, and I'll see you there.